Again, it's Jim Wade, a tax attorney here in Maine, and I'm going to be talking to you in this episode about injured spouse relief. There's a lot of confusion between innocent spouse and injured spouse. They have similar sounding names, but completely different relief that's granted. So hopefully by the end of this video post, you'll get the difference and you'll know when to request the appropriate type of relief. All right. So what is injured spouse? Well, to set the table, let's talk about innocent spouse. Innocent spouse, you're seeking to be relieved from a joint tax debt, meaning there was a joint return filed, and then there's later an assessment of additional tax due. You're seeking to be relieved of that joint tax liability. Well, injured spouse is you and your spouse don't owe a joint tax liability. Instead, there's this separate debt out there where your joint refund has been seized to pay it. Such things as child support, student loans, federal or state tax debts, SBA loans, or let's say you were overpaid state unemployment benefits. Those are all separate debts that could be paid with a seizure of your tax refund. So how do you get injured spouse relief? Well, there's a form that you file either at the time you file a return, or if your refund is seized, you can file it afterwards. And that's Form 8379. It isn't the most complicated of forms, but you do have to answer some questions and prepare an allocation, which shows your spouse's income and withholdings as well as yours. The idea is that if you have a refund, there has to be some fair way to decide how much of the refund is each of yours. So when you file this return, let's say your incomes respectively, you're 25% out of the total. They'll then say, okay, here's the tax debt. 25% of that was your responsibility. Then they'll look at what the refund was and whose income it came from. So if let's just keep things simple, 25% of the refund was yours, you'll get that 25% back. That's how the allocation works. But you still have to sit down, do the paperwork, do the allocation. Oftentimes, I tell people just have your accountant do it. But if you need help, certainly you can have our office try to do it for you. So just in summary, to make the distinction to make the distinction clear between injured spouse and innocent spouse. If your spouse omits $100,000 in income on a joint tax return, you would request innocent spouse relief. Now, if your refund seized to pay your spouse's separate $100,000 student loan, you would request injured spouse relief. All right, I hope that made sense. This is kind of a short one. The distinction between injured spouse, innocent spouse, the two sound the same, but they are completely different relief that's granted. And sort of a final summary, if your refund has been seized to pay a debt of your spouse, you want injured spouse relief, not innocent spouse relief. Have any questions? Contact us. My information is right here on the slide. Have a wonderful day.